Hello guys, Yuvraj here from the Brainstorm Force team, makers of the Astra theme for WordPress. And this is once again your weekly WordPress fix. That means I collect all the most important WordPress, SEO, and social media updates for you and then present it to you in a small and digestible package, which is this video. So if you want to navigate to any of the important stories quickly, I have left timestamps in the description of this video, and also you'll see the navigation on the YouTube player, so you can navigate to any of the stories which is more important to you. But I'd suggest take a look at the entire video because there are a lot of interesting updates that might be important to you. So let's start with the first important update, which is about an acquisition that Automattic, the parent company of WordPress, recently made. And the acquisition was for a company called Frontity. Now, Frontity, if you didn't know, Frontity was a React-based framework for WordPress, which you can see right here. But what they technically did was they were working on a headless solution for WordPress based on React.js. Now, that's not the important part of what they were already working on, but the interesting part is that the founders and the entire team will now start working on WordPress's FSE, or the full site editing experience inside the Gutenberg or the block editor. Now, the founders have clarified that React.js is not coming to Gutenberg. I'm not a developer, so I don't understand that part yet, but maybe you understand the implication of that. But yes, it's an interesting move to see that WordPress is making quick and I say good investments in the FSE ecosystem, and hope to see that WordPress 6, or I say even the more updates before that, will have some interesting updates or interesting, I say, new feature additions or new capabilities in the FSE feature set of WordPress. So that's the first interesting update for the day. Talking about the next interesting update is about the Gutenberg or the block editor plugin. Now, this is not the actual core feature set. This is an additional plugin that is usually updated with more bleeding edge features. So every week I report more and more features coming to the Gutenberg or the block editor. And this week is no different. This time it's updated to 11.4 and with a bunch of interesting features. So I'll show you some of the most, I'd say, important highlights in 11.4. So the first interesting update with this is that the gallery plugin or gallery block now uses image blocks natively. So anytime you see image blocks or the feature set in image blocks improve, you'll see the gallery block will automatically start inheriting those features as well. And duotone features or duotone filters, which was introduced in WordPress 5.8 as part of the core, are now also available for featured images. So that's also an interesting move from WordPress. And talking about the most interesting, I'd say, couple of interesting things are the first of all, padding support for button blocks. That's interesting, but this is what I'm most excited about, which is the support for global block spacing. That means you'll be able to set up layouts with global spacing options. This has been missing in Gutenberg for quite some time. So this is something that I was really interested in. Definitely, I'll leave a link down in the description for the entire update so you can check it out, what the entire update holds. So this is the interesting update with Gutenberg. Let's talk about the next story, which is about Elementor. So Elementor recently was updated to 3.4. I did report that story, but Elementor just introduced a video and also a blog post talking about the pro features in Elementor today. So they have mostly e-commerce updates in Elementor this time, and there's a lot of interesting features regarding design layouts and all the different shortcodes and all. I'd say I won't be doing it justice if I talk about the features right here. So definitely I'll leave a link down in the description to the blog post that they've introduced. You should check out this video, and they have the entire blog post that they've dedicated just to explain the features in Elementor. So that's the interesting story with Elementor. Let's talk about the interesting update from our end. So we recently introduced 5 new exciting WooCommerce templates for the Astra theme. Technically, you can use those templates without the Astra theme as well. They are introduced as part of starter templates, which we make available for free for everyone to use. So we recently introduced 5 exciting templates. I'll just let you or show you a quick highlight of what the templates are. The first one is a bookstore. The second one is a fashion designer store. Third one is a gift shop. The fourth one is an office furniture store, and also a sportswear store. Now, we already did a video demonstrating this. This is the video. Let me just show you. So I'll leave a link down in the description, and if you should definitely subscribe if you want to get updates about what templates we released for WooCommerce and WordPress. So that's an exciting story from us. Now, talking about another, or I'd say more exciting WordPress related updates, is that WordPress 5.8.1, the release candidate 1 version, is now available. You can download the beta and start testing it out on your sites and look at the feature sets. So mostly it's bug fixes that I see here. A lot of interesting, I say, fixes, but no interesting, I say, exciting feature set. But definitely it's a step in the right direction. So definitely the link to this specific blog post on WordPress's own blog will be down in the description. You can check it out. Now, talking about the next few stories are mostly about WooCommerce. So WooCommerce 5.7 RC1 is again available. Now you can test it out as parts of the beta process. And there are a few, I'd say, small, not a huge change, but definitely it's a minor update, 5.7. So you can check out the entire story in the description. Talking about another update from WooCommerce. Now, WooCommerce Blocks, the 5.80 or 5.8 is also now available. It's not a beta or RC release, it's the public release. So definitely there are a few interesting features here as well. So you can check it out. If you're a WooCommerce store owner, if you're thinking of starting a WooCommerce store, this is an exciting update for you. So let's talk about the next story, which is about an interesting security update that happened over the weekend. So there's a very popular plugin which goes by the name of Redux. It's a Gutenberg template library, and also they provide a framework to build websites on top of their framework. So this plugin had a security vulnerability and it was quickly fixed. I'll just give you an update about the timeline in a second. So this was again reported by WordFence, and WordFence and the Redux team actually handled this quite professionally, as most developers or most plugin houses do. So let me just give you an idea about the timeline, when it was discovered, when it was patched, and why you should care. So let me just look at the timeline here. So this issue was reported by or discovered by the WordFence team on 3rd of the August, which is almost a month ago. And why is this reported now after a month? Because so that all the plugin say users have time to update. So once this was discovered on 11th of August, after the communication with the Redux team, 11th of August, the patched version, which is 4.2.13, was released, and on September the 2nd, the WordPress free users start getting firewall updates regarding this vulnerability. So if you know someone who uses the Redux plugin, if you use it personally, make sure to update to the latest version. It is very, very important. And also, if you know, or you're part of a Facebook group, maybe a part of a community where people use this plugin or framework, make sure to share this video with them as well, so that they are also aware of what the security vulnerability is. Now, why am I specifically highlighting this? Why am I spending time mentioning this, that you should highlight this? Because just from a basic look at the plugin's current usage, I was able to figure out that a lot of people have still not updated to the latest version. So that's why I'm emphasizing that if you know someone who uses the Redux framework, then definitely make sure that they are updated to the latest version to keep their website secure. So that's all the WordPress related news for the day, but we have some interesting SEO related news, so make sure to tune in and keep watching the video till the end. So talking about the first interesting update is that the Google search or the page experience update that was rolling out for quite some time, which included the mobile friendliness, the HTTPS, including core web vitals, and a bunch of other page experience features, has now finally finished rolling out. So that's a good news after a quite long time. So if you remember, or if I remember correctly, I did mention in a previous couple of updates that 3 of Google's search updates were rolling out simultaneously. One of which was the page spam update, which was finished last week, or which was rolled out completely last week. This was the update, the second update, and the July core update, we don't have official news that if that has finished rolling out as well. So if you have, or if you see ranking changes, at least now you can attribute them to just one of the Google updates that is rolling out instead of 3. So that's some clarity for you. So talking about the next update is with regards to Google's page, or I say title changes. If you remember in the previous week stories, I covered that Google was officially, they confirmed that now they are rewriting page titles based on what they think is the best for the user. So one person called, or say Kevin, had a question with, or asked John Mueller that the obvious question is that, so with regards to SEO, you probably know that having the keywords in the title are really important. So if Google rewrites your title and it excludes a few bunch of keywords from the title, does it impact your search rankings, right? That's an obvious question that comes up. So John Mueller confirmed that it will not affect your search ranking. So if you're ranking number 1, even with the rewritten title, you will still rank number 1. Now, this does not mean that your click-through rate will still remain the same. In last week's update, I mentioned that one big company, I'd say, if I remember correctly, WordStream, which is a big PPC management company, they reported that they faced 37% less clicks in the search results because of the title rewrites. And also I linked to a blog post on their site where they showed how to fix it, or how they fixed it for themselves, and how you can learn from the same. So make sure to check out that video as well if you're interested in something like that. I'll leave a link down in the description for this, or leave the actual video just when this video ends. So make sure to watch the video till the end. So talking about the next story for the day is about the same, okay, this is the same tweet I was talking about. Talking about the next story is about Google's advertising policy changes. So if you are into PPC or if you spend money on Google ads, you might have known that during the height of the pandemic, Google did restrict the sale of certain items or being sold through the Google ads platform. So they restricted the N95 masks, sanitizers, and a bunch of other stuff because they were already in short supply. So Google has now started rolling back those changes, starting with the sale of N95 masks. So now officially you can start bidding or selling N95 masks on Google Ads and on Google Shopping. So if you are in those industries where you produce masks for people, then you should be definitely looking into this, because now you can officially start spending money on PPC and selling your products. So that's the interesting story from Google. And now talking about an interesting story from Bing. Now I've usually not spoken about Bing, but this one is an interesting story where Bing is now, the content submission API is now available to all webmasters. Now you might not know what this means. So let me explain. So whenever you publish a blog post, there's only a few ways you can make any search engine crawl that page, right? You either wait for the search engine to revisit your website and then index the page automatically. But recently, I'd say a couple of years ago, Google made its submission API available to developers for certain kind of like publishers. So instead of going into the search console and then manually forcing Google to try and visit your website, you could build something like a solution on your website using the API so that you could submit your content to Google automatically, or I'd say seamlessly. So now Bing has also opened up their API, which is the content submission API, to all webmasters. So let's say if you are a really large publisher who publishes a lot of content. Now, if Bing traffic is important to you, what you can do is just build a small solution on your website. So anytime you make any changes to your content, you can directly use the API to ping Bing search that, okay, this page is updated, make sure that it's indexed, it's up to date in the search results. So that's an interesting story from Bing, because usually search engines don't provide these kind of tools to webmasters, especially or to all webmasters. So that's the interesting story from Bing this time. Talking about the next story for the day is also about Google. So just a small update about Google News. If you get any kind of traffic from Google News, I did mention that Google News was coming up as an attribution source in Google Analytics. So you could attribute some traffic to where it's coming from. And what some people have started noticing, that now if you're getting traffic from Google News, it's going directly to the publisher's website instead of going to the AMP version of their pages. So again, an interesting update from Google. If you remember the past few stories or past few weeks stories, AMP has been phasing out from Google's importance. So top stories now don't require you to have AMP for you to appear in the top stories. Now this is also an interesting update. And I recently also mentioned that one of the key members of the AMP project also resigned. So what do you think is the future of the AMP project? Will it thrive? Will it die? Or what do you think, or what do you hope AMP or what happens to AMP? Let me know in the comments. So talking about the next story for the day is about Google Discover. So Google Discover, which you don't know, if you open up, let's say, your browser on your iPhone or on Android devices, you get a feed of content which is tailored to your interest or your visitor's interest. So in an interesting move, what Google has actually said, or what Google has published, is a kind of a guide where they have shown or explained how you can optimize your website to appear in Google Discover. Now, this has not been done before. Google never gave this kind of information away, that how you can optimize your website. So it's a welcome move from Google. And I haven't checked out the entire blog post where the updates are shown, but there's also an interesting beta feature which is being rolled out in Google Discover, that you can follow certain publishers. For example, if you know, in the old Facebook days when you could publish content on your feed and people could follow your page, this is kind of a similar feature where if you discover, let's say, a publisher from a viewer's perspective and you want to follow those publishers, you have a follow feature right here which you can use to follow that publisher. So a lot of interesting details on this blog post. Of course, the links will be down in the description, and also how to provide a feed to Google Discover so that it ensures that you get the maximum amount of discovery through Google Discover. And that's the last story for the day. A lot of interesting updates. Definitely check out all the links in the description, and also like this video, share this video, make sure you subscribe to our channel for these kind of quick and weekly updates. And also, as I mentioned, watch this video about previous updates or last week's updates where I mentioned a lot of click-through changes based on Google's rewriting titles. And also make sure to subscribe. I'll leave a link or an icon right here somewhere on the page. You were listening to Yuvraj from the Brainstorm Force team. I'll catch you in the next video next week or before that. Take care, stay safe, and have fun.